Welcome to the Melfort and District Museum. We are your tour guides. I am Megan.
I'm Peyton.
And I am Brittany. And today we will be looking back on the first settlement days of Melfort, Saskatchewan.
We'll be focusing on agriculture, machinery, and the history of our Indigenous peoples.
And so much more!
Melfort Agriculture Society grounds and the Melfort and District Museum are all part of what is known as Prince Edward Park. The picnic area on the west side of the powerhouse contains a tree that was planted in Prince Edward's honor in 2003 after his visit to Melfort. During the summer months, on Wednesday evenings from June to August, Prince Edward Park is used to host museum barbecues. These barbecues are open to the public and include live music and tours. A very enjoyable evening. Our second stop is the Indigenous Peoples and Archaeology Building, which is one of our newest exhibits in process. Over the years, our museum has collected Indigenous and archaeology items, and with the addition of major donations from the Heretzek Morgan family and Tommy Smith, we have created a significant exhibit. The contributions of Isidore Heretzek and his family were collected in the Yellow Creek area as well as at Fish Creek. Isidore Heretzek was a teacher in Yellow Creek and was a dedicated collector of the artifacts he found in the area. His daughter and grandsons learned a love for collecting these artifacts, and together they created a collection of enormous historical value. Another major contributor to our archaeology collection is Tom Smith, who collected many arrowheads, mauls, and more from the farmland in the Pathlo area. Tom documented these pieces and donated his entire collection to us as a lasting legacy. This Indigenous Peoples and Archaeology Building stands as a lasting acknowledgement to the first people of Saskatchewan and their way of living. We move on to the machinery shed, built in 2008 after a fire destroyed the previous shed in 2007. Some artifacts were lost, but many were salvageable, including the Whittam snowplow built in 1958. On display outside the machinery shed, we have a variety of restored tractors, like a John Deere Model D tractor from 1925 and a John Deere Model D tractor from 1937, the Red McCormick Deering, the 1939 Oliver tractor. We also have on display a Massey Harris tractor from 1942 and a 1963 Case Combine, orange in color with a 10-foot header. Many of these tractors were restored here at the museum by volunteers. Inside the machinery shed, there is a large motor display and license plate display. Another important piece at our museum is our fully restored 1932 Ford Deuce Coupe. There were less than 1,200 Ford Deuce Coupes made in Canada, and currently only one other exists in Saskatchewan. We also feature the Whittam snowplow, built by the Whittam Snowplow Club in the winter of 1958. It was originally a number 20 Massey Harris SP Combine and was restored twice more before coming to our collection in 2009. In the first half of the 19th century, harvest on the prairies looked much different than it does today. Since combines were not quite yet part of regular farming practice, a threshing crew would be sent out to harvest the crop by hand. At night, after the threshing crew was done work, they would sleep in the bunkhouse. This bunkhouse consists of 6 straw beds and 1 dresser. During the day, when the threshing crew needed to eat, they would stop by the cook shack, essentially a small kitchen with a stove, countertop. Both the cookhouse and bunkhouse were built on wheels so they could easily be moved by horse or tractor to the next field. As we continue, I would like to point out our clay oven, which was built in the summer of 2003 by Norm Uffelman, Ernie McKenzie, Cecil Hart, and Egbert Berggren. During the fair days in July, volunteers use this oven to make delicious old-fashioned bread that is sold to the public. The BD Pumper is our next stop. It was originally located on the land of Sidney Galbraith, who lived north of Melfort near Lenville, Saskatchewan in 1941. The mill would work even when the slightest bit of wind would circulate, activating the vertical shaft and resulting in a steady flow of water which came from the well dug below the mill. The design was extremely convenient, as it could be left to provide water for cattle with relatively little maintenance and for months at a time. The BD pumper was dismantled, transported, and rebuilt by museum volunteers and members in 1994, and by fair time that summer, the BD pumper was in working operation. This is our Fairy Glen Co-op, an original building built in 1940 in the small hamlet of Fairy Glen, located 20 kilometers north of Melfort. This original building was used along with a larger warehouse for the sale of gas, oils, and other bulk products. Inside are artifacts from the small town business, including an early cast iron hand fuel pump and a collection of co-op memorabilia. The building was moved to the museum grounds in 2016. We move on to our next building, the exhibit hall, which has recently been reorganized. The exhibit hall was originally built on the Agricultural Society grounds in 1906 and was used by the Society as its first display hall. In the early 1970s, the structure served as a forerunner of Melfort's current museum, displaying some of our important artifacts. The structure was moved to its present location in 1980. Inside the exhibit hall today, you will find many homemade inventions, such as a caboose, which is pulled by horse when traveling long distances in the winter. We also feature a snowplane, which originally belonged to Ed Blackman of Star City. This snowplane was used for transporting doctors to farmsteads in the 1930s and 40s. They were also used by RCMP to aid in regular duties. Our newest building is the Hardware Building, where you can find a collection of tools donated by Pat and Ron Jellicoe. As well, we have a display of farming pictures that show the machinery these would have been used on. We move on to the sawmill. Inside this large wood building is a fully working sawmill, which was donated to the museum in 1987 by Fred Shawaga of Weeks, Saskatchewan. Inside are numerous artifacts of the lumbering industry from many years ago. And if you look up on the exterior roof, there is a steam whistle powered by an air compressor. On our way to the outdoor agricultural machinery display, I would like to point out our honey wagon. Although the name suggests something sweet, this restored buggy was not used for transporting honey. Rather, it was used for transporting sewage, something not as sweet smelling. The honey wagon's original home was at the Melfort Research Station. The caboose is another recent addition to the museum that is undergoing restoration. It was acquired in 2019 from the Western Development Museum in Saskatoon. It is a Canadian Pacific Railway caboose from 1912. The outdoor agricultural machinery display has evolved into a large collection over the years. Here you can find tillage equipment such as plows, harrows, and cultivators, seeding equipment used for gardens, cornfields, seed drillers, and seed treaters. We hold a variety of potato implements as well, such as potato plows, tillers, and potato hillers. We also have haying equipment, such as hay loaders, both hand and ground-driven models. And we have harvesting equipment, like this straight-cut header and this large threshing machine, donated by Herb Garish. We hope you've enjoyed your tour at the Melfort Museum.
Looking forward to seeing you next time in person.
Bye for now.